Hello everyone, welcome to today's story. In a world of billion-dollar contracts and spotless glass offices, CEO Alex looked untouchable. Until one phone call shattered the illusion. A sudden, critical diagnosis turns his victories into shadows and his empire into noise. Between two worlds, flashy success and the simple, honest love he found with Lytuna, Alex must confront what truly matters when time itself feels fragile. As hospital lights hum and rain taps the window, two women rush toward the same door. The elegant echo of the life his family planned, and Lytuna, the heartbeat of the life he secretly chose. In this narrow corridor between fear and faith, tears will fall, promises will be tested, and a single decision could rewrite every future he imagined. When a man's strength fades, who will stand at his side, duty or love? The day began like any other. Contracts signed, calls taken, schedules filled with relentless precision. To everyone around him, Alex was the image of composure, a young CEO with the world at his feet. Yet when his phone rang late that evening, the sterile voice on the line stripped away the facade in an instant. Diagnosis, critical, limited time. The words echoed in his ears long after the call ended. The glass of water slipped from his hand, shattering across marble tiles. His empire, every deal, every number, suddenly felt meaningless. He was not a titan anymore. He was simply a man staring down his mortality. Hours later, Alex sat in a stark hospital room, the scent of antiseptic stinging his senses. The monitor beeped steadily, indifferent to his turmoil. His thoughts drifted to Lytuna, her hands in the soil, her quiet smile, Henry's innocent laughter. That simple world now felt like the only place he had ever truly belonged. But outside the hospital walls, another current gathered force. Mrs. Lan, his mother, paced her sitting room in fury and fear. "This is why he needs stability," she told Mai, who sat politely with a bouquet resting in her lap. "Lytuna will only drag him deeper into uncertainty. He must marry you, Mai. You can anchor him, guide him through this illness." Mai nodded quietly, though her eyes betrayed a storm. She had admired Alex since childhood. Part of her ached to see him vulnerable. Part of her knew his heart was already elsewhere. Yet when his mother clasped her hands and whispered, "You are the family's hope," Mai could not refuse. Meanwhile, Lytuna held Henry close in their modest home. Her phone vibrated with a short message from Alex. "Please come. I need you." She froze, torn between fear and longing. Could she face his family again? Could she walk through the hospital doors knowing she might not be welcomed? Henry tugged at her sleeve, his small voice steady. "Mama, let's see Papa." That night, the conflict grew sharper. Alex lay weak, but his room became a battlefield without swords. Mai arrived first, her steps brisk, carrying lilies that perfumed the sterile air. "Alex," she whispered, forcing a smile. "Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Just focus on recovery." Moments later, the door creaked open again. Lytuna stepped in, her eyes swollen from tears. Henry peeked shyly from behind her, clutching a scarf. The monitor beeped faster as Alex's eyes lit with recognition. "Lytuna," he murmured, voice frail but filled with longing. The two women faced each other, silence heavy between them. Mai's knuckles whitened around the bouquet. Lytuna's hands trembled at Henry's shoulders. At Alex's bedside, two paths collided. the life of duty and the life of love. And in the middle, a man broken by illness, forced to choose. The night deepened outside the hospital, rain tracing silver streaks against the tall windows. Inside, the room pulsed with tension. Alex's breathing was shallow, every rise and fall of his chest a fragile rhythm that kept Tuna and Mai frozen in place. The doctor entered, flipping through a chart. His face was professional, but not unkind. "Mr. Alex requires constant monitoring tonight," he explained. "Too much stress will make things worse. For his stability, only one person can remain as his primary caregiver overnight." The words landed like a thunderclap. Tuna's eyes darted to Alex, then to Mai. Henry stirred in her arms, sensing the tension. Mai tightened her grip on the lilies she carried, the petals beginning to bruise under her clenched fingers. "I'll stay," Mai said quickly, her voice calm but firm. "It's best for him. I can manage his appointments, ensure he follows treatment, and I know his family. I can coordinate with them. He needs structure, not more chaos." Tuna flinched at the word chaos. Her voice trembled, but she forced herself to speak. "No. Alex asked me to come. When he's with me, he finds peace. He needs comfort, not control. And Henry..." She glanced down at the boy. "Henry gives him strength." The doctor raised a hand. "This isn't about family politics. It's about what keeps him calm and steady. If you cannot agree, I will ask him directly." The silence that followed was unbearable. Mrs. Lan suddenly appeared at the doorway, umbrella dripping rainwater onto the floor. Her eyes, sharp as ever, moved from Mai to Tuna. "This is not difficult," she announced coldly. "Mai will stay. Tuna can leave." Tuna's throat tightened. "Madam, please. Alex needs me." "You are not his wife," Mrs. Lan snapped, her tone like steel. "You are not part of this family. You have no place here." The monitor beeped louder as Alex stirred, opening his eyes weakly. His gaze found the figures around him, the lilies in Mai's hands, Henry's tiny scarf clutched in Tuna's. His lips moved, dry and cracked. "Tuna," he whispered, and her tears fell freely. But Mrs. Lan stepped forward. "No, Alex, listen to me. Mai will take care of you. She is the future you need, not this woman." The doctor glanced at Alex. "Mr. Alex, you must decide. Who stays tonight? Who will be your caregiver?" The room froze. Tuna pressed her hand to the glass of the heart monitor, tears streaming. Mai set down the lilies and reached for his hand, her voice trembling for the first time. "Alex, let me help you. 2 women, 2 futures, and 1 fragile life tethered to a monitor's rhythm." Alex's hand lifted slowly, shaking, moving through the air as if drawn toward both. His eyes glistened with pain, torn between duty and love. And then, he whispered a single name, but the sound was drowned by the thunder rolling outside. Thunder rattled the hospital windows, shaking loose rivulets of rain that streaked down the glass. Inside, the monitor kept its relentless beeping, the only steady sound in a room now fractured by silence and unspoken dread. Alex's lips had moved, but the storm outside had swallowed his voice. Still, Tuna felt her name on his breath. Her heart ached, wanting to believe he had chosen her, but doubt coiled inside. Mrs. Lan seized the moment. "You see," she said sharply, her voice slicing through the tension. "He's too weak to think clearly. The decision will be made for him. Mai will stay." Mai stepped closer, setting the lilies on the table. Her eyes shone, not only with determination but with sorrow. She looked at Alex's pale face, then at Tuna, and for once her voice cracked. "I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to hurt you. But I can't walk away, not now. Not when he's at his weakest." Tuna clasped Henry to her chest, tears streaming. And what about love? What about the nights he found peace only in my arms? The mornings when Henry's laughter pulled him out of his darkest hours? Can you give him that, Mai? The air grew electric, emotions sparking like lightning. Alex groaned, trying to lift himself. His hand trembled as he reached for Tuna, then faltered halfway, collapsing back against the pillow. His weakness sent a shockwave of panic through the room. Tuna rushed forward, but Mrs. Lan blocked her path. "Enough! You've dragged him into suffering long enough. Step back, girl." Tuna fell to her knees, her voice breaking. "I love him. Isn't that enough? Even if I have no fortune, no title, even if the world rejects us, at least let me love him with what little time he has left." The words shattered whatever composure remained in the room. Henry tugged at Tuna's sleeve, his small voice carrying the innocence of truth. "Papa wants Mama." Mai's eyes welled as she turned towards the boy. She sank into a chair, her shoulders trembling. For the first time, she whispered the truth she had buried deep. "I've always known. His heart has never been mine." Alex forced his eyes open. Every ounce of strength left in him gathered for one moment, one declaration. His gaze fixed on Tuna, his lips trembling with effort. "Nah." Tuna's sob tore through the room as she gripped his hand. The monitor's beeping steadied, as though even his body recognized her touch. Mrs. Lan staggered, the iron in her voice finally faltering. Her hands shook as she pressed them to her chest. "Alex, my son, how could you throw away everything for this?" Alex's voice was a whisper, but unshakable. "Because she is everything." The room stilled. Even the storm seemed to quiet, leaving only the fragile sound of the monitor echoing his heartbeat. But the choice, though spoken, was far from resolved. Lan's pride remained a wall between them. Mai's tears fell onto the lilies wilting by her side, and Tuna's arms shook as she held on to the man she feared she could still lose. 3 women, 1 broken man, and a future suspended on the edge of heartbreak. The hospital lights dimmed as midnight crept in. The storm outside had softened into a steady drizzle, but inside the room, the tension was a storm of its own. Tuna sat at Alex's side, clutching his frail hand. Every rise and fall of his chest was a fragile miracle she prayed would not end. Mrs. Lan stood by the window, her silhouette rigid against the glass. Pride kept her spine straight, but her eyes betrayed the turmoil within. She had always spoken of legacy, duty, and the weight of family name. But now, watching her son tethered to machines, the truth pressed harder than ever. None of her wealth could shield him from mortality. Mai lingered in the corner, the bouquet of lilies abandoned on the table. Her eyes were swollen from tears she could no longer contain. Quietly, she whispered to herself, "I only ever wanted to see him happy." The doctor entered, his face serious. "Mr. Alex's condition remains unstable. Stress must be avoided. We'll need to decide on a treatment path soon. For that, the patient's chosen companion must stay close. The others may need to leave." Silence. 3 pairs of eyes shifted toward Alex, whose hand twitched weakly in Tuna's grasp. His lips parted, breath shallow. He tried to speak, but the words dissolved into a cough, and his strength failed him again. Tuna pressed her forehead against his hand, tears soaking the sheets. "Hold on, Alex, please. We'll face this together." Henry stirred in her lap, whispering softly, "Papa, don't go." Mrs. Land turned sharply, her voice breaking despite her pride. "Alex needs stability, not false hope. Tuna, if you truly love him, maybe the kindest thing is to step aside. Let Mai carry the burden." Tuna's shoulders shook, her heart split by the impossible choice. Leave to protect him, or stay and risk his family's wrath? Mai stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Alex, who do you want with you?" The monitor beeped faster. Alex's eyes flickered between them. Tuna's tear-streaked face, Mai's trembling hands, and his mother's shadowed figure. His lips formed a single syllable. But before the name could emerge, the monitor blared, alarms filling the room. Doctors rushed in, nurses called orders. The women froze, united in fear. And as Alex's world flickered between life and death, one question remained suspended in the air. When time runs out, who will be the one by his side?
CEO Alex, người đàn ông thành đạt với sự nghiệp rực rỡ, bất ngờ nhận tin dữ. Một căn bệnh hiểm nghèo đang gõ cửa, đỉnh cao danh vọng bỗng trở nên vô nghĩa. Trong tim anh chỉ còn Tử Na và bé Henry, nơi bình yên giản dị khao khát. Nhưng ngay khi Alex ở bệnh, hai người phụ nữ xuất hiện ở bệnh viện. Tử Na, tình yêu chân thành của anh, Mai, lựa chọn hoàn hảo mà mẹ anh mong muốn. Bác sĩ buộc phải yêu cầu chỉ một người được ở lại bên giường bệnh. Nước mắt rơi, lời hứa vang vọng. Trái tim Alex dà sẻ tình yêu và trách nhiệm. Trong tiếng mưa đêm, tiếng máy theo dõi nhịp tim, câu trả lời cuối cùng vẫn còn bỡ ngỡ.